to welcome you all to the official launch of ZeroC, Aotearoa's first 100% electric transportation services. It was said half a century ago that in the future everyone on Earth would get 15 minutes of fame once in a lifetime, and I guess that this is mine. People have also told me to make these few minutes so embarrassing and to take vengeance on my enemies. Neither of these will happen. However, I am to make sure that everybody here is having a great and safe time, and saying that in case of an emergency, please vacate the building back through the main entrance which you came through and assemble just out in the courtyard. In case of a fire, stop, drop and roll. As a child, I must have missed the memo of the directions to roll out. So roll that way out the door and make your way towards the exit. The toilets are simply just as you go back out the doors, located on your left as you go through the doors to the cafe. I am especially honoured to welcome representations and guest speakers from our local councils, Mayor Ray Wallace of Hutt City Council and Mayor Justin Lester of Wellington City Council. We thank you all for giving up your time today to be here with us to celebrate the future of transportation services. Now, without further ado, I would like to welcome the first speaker, Mayor Ray Wallace, followed by Mayor Justin Lester and CEO of ZeroC, David Akers.
Inga mana, inga reo, inga ka rangatanga rōranga tira mā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, katoa. Ladies and gentlemen, kia ora and good afternoon. Can I take this great pleasure to welcome you here to Hutt to this fantastic launch. Can I acknowledge David Akers and the ZeroC team, the fantastic team that have been here. I've had a chance to talk to many of you this morning. And also warmly welcome my mayoral colleague and friend, Mayor Justin Lester. Great to have Justin here. And my council colleagues, Campbell Barry and Councillor David Lee. Also members of Parliament, Chris Bishop and Ginny Andersen. Great to have you all here, along with distinguished guests from our business community. It's my pleasure to be at this launch of innovation with the new Innovation Transportation Company, which is future thinking and contributing to reducing carbon emissions, something extremely important to us all. So congratulations to you, David, for the work that you and your entire team are doing. What thrills me is that this is a new company that's been established right here within the Wellington region. Will very soon be going nationally, and I'm very confident following that internationally. And it is a new system of doing business as well. So cutting carbon emissions is a key part of moving to zero carbon future. And your business, David, is exactly the kind of business that we want to see thrive and support, and we're very pleased to have you here in our city and our region. And I certainly will be encouraging our staff at Council to be doing more and using your services. But I did note that Sandy Beath-Croft, one of our staff, is here. She is one of your biggest cheerleaders at Hutt City Council, and we want more of them. Our council is aiming for the zero carbon by 2050 or earlier, so we do need to work together with business, with government to make this happen. ZeroC, though, is walking the talk and leading by example. It's fantastic to see that a grassroots New Zealand company, startup like ZeroC, is leading the way in this and leading that charge, not only through their use of 100% pure electric vehicles, and I must say what fantastic vehicles they are. We've never actually had vehicles in that forecourt before, so I don't know how you got them in there. Some of your team are trying to tell me it was helicoptered in. I'm thinking that big one might actually have been helicoptered in, but it's great to see that, and great to see all the vehicles outside as well. And I assure you, we've spoke to the parking wardens, there won't be any tickets. Luckily we got in first and told them we had this arranged with the Dowth. But look, the other commitment that I'm really impressed was that you are paying your staff the living wage, and that's a major commitment, and I think sending the right message to other businesses. So I hope local government agencies, businesses that are here today and that you meet with as you travel through and build the business, get on board with ZeroC. It's just one of the many things that we can all do to help reduce carbon emissions. So on this great day, I want to congratulate ZeroC, your entire team, on your launch. Kia ora, and thank you, everybody.
Manahi nui kia koutou katoa, anō mai haere mai whakatau, mai aki te whare. Ray, thank you for welcoming us here to your city. We love it. I think it's 3 degrees warmer out here than it was in Wellington, and I don't think that's usual, but thank you for the wonderful tropical climes out here. Nei rā te mihi ki te iwi mana whenua, ka mai ki whānau ki te kōwhō te ika. I just want to acknowledge the local mana whenua here in this space. David, thank you for the welcome. Thomas for organising me to be here. Councillor colleagues David Lee and Campbell Barry at Hutt City, and parliamentary colleagues as well, Chris Bishop and Ginny Andersen. Great to see you here. Look, I just want to acknowledge ZeroC for a couple of reasons. First of all, for their innovation. Just in terms of our carbon challenge that we face as a city, a couple of things. Look, we're going to be zero carbon by 2050. We need to be at the absolute latest. That's just something we need to achieve, and that's something that our younger generations will require of us in coming decades as well. There is no choice. What we know in Wellington City, look, 58% of our carbon emissions come from transport, the biggest chunk by some distance. In total, 85% come from transport and stationary energy, so that's up to you. That's the commercial buildings that we all own and operate, and our residential dwellings as well. So 85% of that change can happen in a relatively efficient and seamless way, and we've sort of planned for it strategically. We know that we've got the highest uptake of low carbon vehicles in the country per capita here in Wellington, and that's a really good start. And it's a hockey stick type growth, doubling every year, and we want that to continue. But we need to get there to get those carbon emissions down. And that's why ZeroC is such an innovative and wonderful company. And can I just say to Mitty, up the back there, who picked us up, David and I, and drove us out here, what a wonderful service you provided. It was very pleasant, it was nice not to have to drive, it was quiet, keenly attuned to local government issues, keenly attuned, particularly in Upper Hutt and Lower Hutt, so just be careful, Ray and Campbell, you might have another mayoral candidate there sometimes. And she's also got a few ideas. So you might want to buttonhole both of these guys and have a chat to them after this too. But it was a wonderful service. I know you're going to do well because you've got the right values. You focus on sustainability, you focus on people, and you focus on providing a good service. And then secondly, look, I just want to simply say to anyone who thinks starting a new business is easy, you've got it badly wrong. It's incredibly hard, it takes a lot of courage, it's a big risk, and I've been there myself at mine for more than a decade. It takes a lot of hard work. It's like jumping off this cliff with your eyes closed, blindfolded, and when you get to the bottom of the cliff, you're on this treadmill, it just keeps getting bigger. And I remember saying to one, so when do you get off this treadmill? And you don't ever get off, it just keeps going faster as you grow and grow and grow. So thank you for taking that risk. Thank you, it's a considered risk. Thank you for taking it. I know you're going to do well because you're putting your heart and soul, and look, what a wonderful launch already. You're incredibly well organised. You're going to do great. On behalf of all us in Wellington City, kia ora mai tātou. Congratulations, good luck, and well done.
Welcome everybody. I'm just a humble tech guy and had the honor of basically being the CEO of ZeroC. So I'll go through on the thoughts that we have and what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do what we're doing. But as often as there's amazing people who say amazing things, and I think President Obama, President of the United States, said this, which was very much that we are the generation that created this, and we are the last generation that can clean it up. And so,
That's me.
that's Vic. So, there you go. And so from that, I think we need to understand why this is important and why we're doing this. People that came together, this is what we want to do. Because, let's be realistic, it is an emergency. It is something that's happening. It's something that if we don't deal with it now, we may never be able to deal with it. And when I look at these kind of things, and I look at the amount of people who put the body and the heart and the soul of it, a whole bunch of us got together and we said, how do we make this happen? What is it that we do to actually make things work better and go from that? And we know it's a real issue. There's the naysayers, there's the people. The really funny thing is, as many of you can tell by my accent, I wasn't born in New Zealand. I'm a proud New Zealander. I've been here for 34 years. But I originally came from Anchorage, Alaska. In the news recently, the temperatures have been the highest they've ever been in recorded history. The place that never melts is melting. Fires that have never been seen are happening. So this is real. People can say it's not, but it is. So if we don't do something about it now, if we don't do the reduction, if we don't really push to get down to that 80% to really think about how we're going to do this, it's going to get a whole lot worse before it ever gets any better, if at all. So we know the truths and we know the facts. And so the group that got together said, how can we do this? How can we make things better? Because if you declare something an emergency, what are you going to do about it? It's not just good enough to say, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. Human beings, we all great at procrastinating. You know, we'll do it next week, go to the gym, we'll do all these things, but this is real. This is something that's going to hit us. And it's going to affect us all. In a place like New Zealand, which I love, I came here. I made this my home. I have a wife and two lovely daughters. And I want to make sure that they've got a great life. So if we're telling it's an emergency, what now? So this is it. We got together a great team. We've got Thomas, who you've all met. We've got Eric, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. We've got Nick, we've got myself, and we've got Sven. And all of us said, basically a year ago, and said, how do we make this? How do we do? What is what? And I love this quote. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And you look across the world and you think about all the things that have happened in the world, all the great things. It's not been huge committees or things like that. It's been one or two people who said, I'm going to dedicate myself. I'm going to make this happen. So a year ago, we all sat in a room and we said, what is it that we want? What kind of company do we want? What do we think it is? And how do we actually make these things happen? And it isn't about just the climate change. We're looking at building a socially responsible company. And this is one of those things that gets kicked around a lot. And for me, I have a business background. I started in technology, run my own small business. And from that, it was sitting down there saying, how do we actually make this affordable? Because my belief is, at the way it's set up, it isn't affordable. It isn't workable. It'll never work in the long run. So how do we make it sustainable? Because we all want the modern conveniences. We want to be able to travel. We want to be able to do these things. We want to go and do what we want to do. But we should be able to do that without the detriment of the environment or the people who do it. We shouldn't have to have people working 18 hours a day just to survive. So it isn't just about the climate. Climate's the key part of it. It isn't just about that. And it's not sustainable. I mean, I came across this just a couple of days ago. And it's funny because that same group, the picture we had, a year ago, we said we do not believe that the model that they have is workable. We do not believe that the ability to have a ride for $2 is sustainable. That the reality is you have to pay people real wages, and we have to do that. And it's always funny because people always complain about, you know, I don't like this and I don't like that, and then they're the first people to go and buy the cheapest stuff and things like that. We have to change their mindset. We have to actually say there's value. And there's value in our people that we only hire people that we think are service-oriented, that actually deliver the stuff. We use electric cars. The cars are expensive, but they're worth every cent of it. So we don't believe that in the long run, and this proves it as far as I'm concerned, that those models are going to work. And this is where the ethos of New Zealand, Aotearoa, comes into play. The reason we all live here is a great country. You know, it is that classic, the best little country in the world. Screw that, it's the best country. You know, so we have an ethos, and we want to take this company and we want to drive it, literally and figuratively, after the bigger world. So what is the thing we're doing? What makes us? First, paying a living wage. You should be able to live off the wage you get. You should be able to buy the food, send your kids to universities and to schools, and be able to have vacations to them. It should be sustainable, so it isn't about a free ride. So this means that people have to recognize there's value and have to pay for that because it doesn't work otherwise. You know? It has to be focused on service. Because getting from A to B, anything can do that. Walk, take scooters, things. So why us? You know? And it's got to serve the local community. One of the things about our model is we're not some faceless organization. No matter where we are in the world, we will be supporting those people locally. Whether that's New Zealand, Australia, America, Europe, Africa, Asia, it doesn't matter. Because that's the model we're building. We're not building a model where we come in, rip off 15 to 20% or 30%, and then disappear behind some big corporation. That's not the model. That's not the vision we have. And we spend a lot of time talking about that. It's amazing how much time we get. So this is our core principle, these are our values. So what are we doing? So we're starting off, and it's a learning experience. We spent the last almost year figuring out how to work these things, because it's an electric car company. Well, like we said, we believe we're the first in New Zealand to be 100% electric. So there's a whole bunch of things that we're fine, regulations and stuff like that. Yeah. So we started off with our first vehicles. So we've got the i3, which we're renting. We've got the Ionics, which we're doing drive services, and we're looking at other things. Because we believe that transport can be 100% electric. We believe there's no balance of what we can do. No. So from this, we have gone through and done a huge amount of work, and this is what this whole launch is. And again, like everybody else, it's great to have you. Thank you for coming. Because it's you guys that help us. And that moves it on. If we're going to actually have this work, everybody has to be on this journey for us. This isn't something we can do by ourselves. This isn't something that happens. So everybody has to be here as part of the sustainable movement. And as you've already done, have a look at the cars. See what they're like. Come on. We've got cars outside, we've got drivers outside. We'd love to take you for a spin. It's just, they're amazing. I mean, anybody who's never been in an electric car is really weird. They're so quiet. They're unnervingly quiet, you know? And the pickup is amazing. You think, wow, this is really bizarre. But it's a different way of thinking about things. It's a different way of looking at the world. So, you know, we believe we are on the edge of the future. Because the interesting thing about it is New Zealand's always on the edge of the future. The thing I loved about New Zealand when I came here was not just the optimism, but how much new and innovative things we did. People say you have to. Small country, you have to do these things. So we need your help. We can't do this on our own. This isn't about us writing a little piece of software, putting it out and hoping that the world's going to take it over. This is about people actively, you guys going out. You come here. You took your time on a day that was pretty wet, and you all came out here, and I again appreciate that. So it's how do we do this together? Because nothing great has ever been built by one person. You know, there's a saying that says, the reason I can see farther is I stand on the shoulder of giants. And to me, that's a real outlet. So I'm looking for you guys to help us. Because if you come and you work with us, and you choose the ZeroC organization to help you with your transport, to know that you're going to get a great service, that the people who are driving you around and doing that great service are being paid well, and that you are inevitably pushing your organization into what the future is going to be anyways, then we're all going to win. So, as I say, let's create the New Zealand we want to be. We don't want the rising tides. We don't want the droughts. We want to be able to to live in a place that we're all happy with and that we're comfortable with. And we want to know what our generations are going to do, future generations. Like I said, I've got 2 daughters. I'd like to leave them a better world than I found it. So, as I say, move with the times. Help us move forward into the ZeroC carbon future. Because, realistically, as they said, when the astronauts were out looking at it, the first time they saw the Earth, this blue marble, it dawned on them, this is it. This is all we have. If we don't take care of it, we don't know where that goes. So that's it. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to thank the mayors and all the other special guests. I'd like for you all to thank you all for taking the time to come out because everybody's busy. But I think this is important. The reason that the directors and I created this company is because we think it's important. And we think New Zealand can once again and continually lead the world in the way that we want it to be. So with that, please get some more food, look at the cars, come and talk to me, talk to my staff, and let us take you for a lift around in our wonderful vehicles. So thank you very much.